In part 11, we learned that the underlying structure of the resurrection and two covenants is the divine and universal principle of sowing and reaping. This is the hub of the wheel, the foundation on which everything else rests. No wonder the first thing John declares in his gospel is, "In the beginning was the Word," for Jesus said, "The seed is the Word of God." When I do a series, certain key concepts will often rise to the surface and outshine all the others, and such has been the case in this study. And the concept? Bearing fruit. Why? Because that, my friend, is the point of resurrection. Truth be told, this concept began rising up in my mind during my series on the last days. Note that I said resurrection, not rapture. As I mentioned in the previous study, what folks call the rapture is the resurrection, and I strongly emphasize that the purpose of resurrection is fruit, not for ourselves, but for others. After all, the fruit of the tree is not for the tree. When we get distracted by that shiny object called the rapture, we miss the whole point of resurrection. Self-sacrifice, harpazo, the fruit seized forcibly from the tree. Of the 14 times harpazo is found, it's rendered take by force, spoil, catcheth away, catcheth, pluck, caught away, caught up, and pulling. So, why do we settle on the idea of just caught up? How does seize equate to caught up in the first place? Dear friend, God is not after you and me. He's already got us. He's after fruit. Resurrection is not about a catching up to heaven at his return, but about loving God and others here and now. Didn't Jesus tell Martha, "I am the resurrection"? Isn't "I am" a present reality? Isn't Christ the example? I'm just about convinced that the gospel we hear today is completely reversed from the one Jesus and the apostles delivered 2,000 years ago. Is this even possible? Sure it is. Need an example? Consider the scribes, Pharisees, and Sadducees of Jesus' time. The fact that Jesus told the Pharisees they were of their father the devil lends credence to this, does it not? Do we honestly think that we're any less susceptible to deception and tradition than they were, especially in light of the fact that the number one issue Jesus named is deception? May I be blunt? How does any televangelist justify their wealth? Frankly, I don't think they can. Sadly, we're so used to it being this way that we think this is the way it should be. That reminds me of the cliche, "Why do you do it this way?" Well, because we've always done it this way. Paul said, "Those who desire to be rich fall into temptation and a snare, and into many foolish and harmful lusts, which drown men in destruction and perdition." That said, would the Lord then bless these men and women with great wealth? And who said wealth was a blessing in the first place? Might that too be deception? So why do I say that the purpose of resurrection is bearing fruit? Well, it's simple. Why would we plant the seed of a fruit tree and not eventually expect fruit? Simple logic, my friend, and the natural testifies of the spiritual. God declared in the new covenant that he would put his laws into our minds and write them on our hearts. Why? So that none will teach his neighbor or brother, saying, "Know the Lord," for all shall know him, from the least to the greatest. His laws? Yes. And what is the purpose of law if not proper behavior? Why is proper behavior even needed if we're raptured out of here? And if we're raptured, who will teach our neighbor or brother? Where in this covenant does God promise any form of escape from tribulation? He doesn't. Remember the stony places? Jesus said we endure for a while, but when tribulation or persecution arises on account of the word, we fall away. Today, we've become so enamored with our love for the self that even the mention of no rapture offends us. Are we really that spoiled? Yes. Yes, we are. Now, know what Jesus said in the following. These things I have spoken to you, that in me you may have peace. In the world you will have tribulation, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world. In the world you will have tribulation. Not might or maybe, but will have. But be of good cheer. Be of good cheer about tribulation. Why? Because he has overcome the world and its tribulation. Not outwardly, but inwardly, where it really matters. Think about it. When we're strong in spirit, we can endure just about anything. No doubt, Paul saw when he was caught up to paradise was enough to assure his complete faithfulness through every hardship, even to the point of giving his life for the gospel. Fruit. When is it needed? Now. Where is it needed? Everywhere. No, we don't need to go out and evangelize the world. We need to do what Jesus said. Lay down our lives for his sake, that we might find it for the sake of others. What does that mean for you and me? It's different for each of us. It doesn't need to be grandiose or recognized by others. In fact, that's part of the problem. Too many think that if we don't advertise our faith and broadcast our intentions, then we're failing God. Friend, if that were true, then Christ would not have come 2,000 years ago. He would have come today to take advantage of all this technology. Now, back to the idea of tribulation. Almost everyone is familiar with what Jesus said in the following. For then there will be great tribulation, such as not been since the beginning of the world until this time, no, nor ever shall be. If ever a phrase has been worked over, it's this one, great tribulation. Like so many other teachings, our selfish imagination has managed to turn this into a future event where all the lucky ones miss it, but the not so lucky ones will get their butts kicked big time. What can I say but how arrogant can we be? Great tribulation is coming, but never mind what's transpired since the days of Christ and the apostles. Does the untold suffering of all the wars across this planet for the past 2,000 years not qualify as great tribulation? Who put the in front of great tribulation anyway and turned it into an event? Is it the same one who put the in front of Antichrist and turned it into an individual? Tell me, friend, if Christ, with all of his supernatural power, didn't take over the world 2,000 years ago, then why is it so easy for us to believe that some guy called the Antichrist will? I find this idea a bit insulting. Now, here's the kicker. If what Jesus said in Matthew 24:21 applies to some time in the future, and if the coming of the Son of Man is the rapture, then Jesus screwed up, because he says in Matthew 24:29 through 31, immediately after the tribulation of those days, they will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. He will send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet. Wait just a second. Immediately after the tribulation, he will come and sound his trumpet. And by the way, this is not a literal trumpet. How do we know? Check out Revelation 1:10 and 4:1, not to mention Isaiah 58:1. Once we realize what a trumpet does represent, we'll see that the shout, voice, and trumpet of 1 Thessalonians 4:16 are synonymous, a threefold witness, referring to the prophetic words of the Lord, which have been unfolding since John received his revelation on the island of Patmos long ago. With trumpet in mind, consider the following. And if anyone hears my words and does not believe, I do not judge him, for I did not come to judge the world, but to save the world. He who rejects me and does not receive my words has that which judges him. The word that I have spoken will judge him in the last day. Finally, in closing this study and this series, let's go to the following in Daniel chapter 12. At that time shall arise Michael, the great prince who has charge of your people. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never has been since there was a nation till that time. At that time your people shall be delivered, everyone whose name shall be found written in the book. Many of those who sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt. And those who are wise shall shine like the brightness of the sky above, and those who turn many to righteousness like the stars forever and ever. Much to ponder here. Just note the final passage. Those who are wise shall shine like the brightness of the sky above, and those who turn many to righteousness like the stars forever and ever. If there is a rapture, then who's turning who to righteousness?